Hello YouTubers, welcome back. This is another video for our PowerShell series, and in this video we'll talk a little bit about variables and see how we can use them, manipulate them. So without further ado, let's dive in. So to declare a variable, I will use $. So whenever you're using a $, you're accessing what's inside the variable. So basically I could say $var equals 1, and whenever I type $var, it prints what's inside that variable. So variable is a memory location. It's a location in the memory which is used to store anything. So I could do var.getType and just close the parentheses, and it'll tell you what type of variable it is. If I put my name in it and then check the type, it changes the type to string from integer, what it used to be. It's very cool. Compared to many other programming languages, like older programming languages, because most of the modern ones do this anyway, so the type's automatic. You don't have to declare them like we used to in the past. In the past, if you were talking about C language, you'd had to say int for integers, string for string. You had to append that to the variable at the time of creation, so you don't have to do that anymore. Now, variables don't just store the regular types like a character or string or whatever. You could also store a whole bunch of things. Like, for example, we have our get process, right? I could say $processes, and I can store the output of this command. So if I now do $processes, it'll print everything in there, right? Similarly, I could put in today, and I can just call the getDate command and call the .date. So when I do that and I print $today, and it gives you that. So if you do getDate, that's what it shows. If I do getDate $.date, yeah, it pretty much prints the same thing, but this has got no time, so it's like 12 o'clock that day. It just prints the date, but here it prints just getDate will print it with the time. So we talked about this more in our date and time video, so you could refer to that if you like. I'm just going to clear it. Now that's another way of so one of the things we just saw with today, I can also do that. I could say getDate and add number of days, and then the .date will be stored in today, so today, and that prints November 5th, which is 2 days from today. Let's see how we can manipulate variables themselves. I could do a get variable, and it prints all the variables, including the ones that we created recently. Most of these are just the ones that we have built into PowerShell, like args gives you the arguments that you pass to a command, right? So instead of get variable, I could also do clear variable, and there should be a variable called today. So okay, I see what I did there. So I put the $. You don't need, so like I was telling you, a variable is a named memory location. The name of that location is the name of the variable. So I could just say name and today, right? Because when I type $today, it just tries to access the location. That's why it's saying cannot find a variable with name, and then it's printing the actual date, not the today variable. So if I do this, this should be fine. So if I go back here, this should be under T, this should be today. There it is, right? And that's the value it's storing. But now if I do get variable, and if I scroll a little bit up, there it is. Today is gone. The value of today is empty because I just did a clear variable, so it clears the contents of the variable. I could also do, so let me just do the today again. $today equals getDate, right? And then I print $today. There it is. Now I could also do $today. If I don't want to do clear, like a clear variable, I could just do $null. $null is another variable. If I scroll up, you'll see there should be mn, right? Null is just an empty string, right? And num's the variable that I created in the last video. Anyways, moving on. So if I do get variable now, and then it finds today, and it's gone again. Like the value is again empty. right? That's how to clear it. I could also do remove, right? Remove variable with name today. And now if I do get variable, it shouldn't have the today variable. So that's gone. All the variables are stored in the variable drive. What I mean by that is get ps drive, right? All the variables are stored in this drive. So if I want to delete the num variable, so if I do get variable, I can say find str num, right? There should be a num variable there. That's the one. So let's say I want to remove that variable. Okay, I could do, like, remember how we deleted the files? We did a remove item and then we passed the path. So I could do remove item and I could just pass the path and say variable. It doesn't autocomplete. Variable colon backslash, like you were trying to access a file on the file system, and I could say num, right? It autocompletes and it toggles through them, so you could, if you type nu, it'll get everything with that name. So there it is. If I do this and I run the same command, you won't find anything, right? So get variable find str num. Dollar is the current object, so that's why you see that there. But actually the num variable that's here is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. We already talked about types, so there are different types of variables. They all start with system dot. Alright, so as I was saying, all the variables, so if I do $a equals 11, and if I do $a dot get type, so system.value type is the base type, and it's a system.int32 is a type. Similarly, system.string for strings, system.int32 or system.string for lists or arrays. So that's how they go, and that's a very common. That's how variables are, typed in PowerShell. There are other variables like $env, right? You could do $env, or another way of using them is get child item. I want to get the child item of $. I could use the flower brackets. I can say env colon program files. Yeah. So I think that should work. I did something wrong, so let me try that again. Maybe don't need a... Okay, there it is. So you don't need a space. So I had an extra space in program files. So if you do get child item $env is your environment, the current environment variable. You also have you can create a global variable. If you can just say $global. $global is the variable, and I want to say name equals my, and that creates a global variable. I won't get into where they're used, but yeah, that's how you could create a global variable. So with that, I will close this video. We'll connect again in the next one. It's great to see that you made it to the end of the video. If you'd like to download all my knowledge as a zip file, hit the subscribe button. To download it as a tarball, use like or share button.